Attention gamers. Listen up, you beautiful keyboard goblins. I know most of you League players like to drop comments revealing how many times you had to repeat kindergarten due to a deficiency of brain cells, but while you are flaming your jungler at level 2, I'm figuring out what's the latest knees of the bees when it comes to dominating the hard-stuck hell that is low elo solo queue, and today we are going to talk about turning two marksman non-gender specific beings into ranged assassins by taking them to the most elo inflated place on the planet, the mid lane, to show just how easy it is to pop off like a champagne cork at P. Diddy's lawyer's house. So please politely throw some baby oil on my sub button and then f*** it in a way that can be proved consensual in court, and let's get into it. Alright, the first pick that you have to try is this closeted bisexual from Arcane with the first strike rune and more range than a rover, which immediately gives you an advantage over any melee mode hula hooper. As you can see, this is authentic piss low when I act surprised as shit to see a jungle visiting the guy who is pushed up more than a TikToker's tits and decides not to ward. I get out, but this pick isn't about surviving, it's about thriving, so I stick around to support the counter gank, which is also accompanied by the enemy ADC 3 minutes into the game as I drop a Q on the ground before earning a kill. We get back to lane with ults, and this chick in her best Planet Juniper cosplay tries to put the ass in assassin by insta-gibbing me, but a single cloth armor is the perfect amount of deodorant to that stank as I wait for her to be sitting on cooldowns, and then I politely ask if it's my turn, to which I hit some combos so hard you'd think there's a snack wrapper lying around somewhere. Then, because I'm a board certified dickhead that has used her range advantage all game to deprive this Anna of key from farm all game, when she does her whole cute little push me up against the wall and try to make me uncomfortable little charade, I barely even feel a tickle down in my pickle. If you are picking up what I'm putting down, as I'm putting down my knee to aim this snipe for the kill. After the repetitive abuse mid lane, I always try to visit bot, because if there's one thing I love, it's being a marksman who typically is stuck in the mud flaps of this fucking terrible lane and coming down to show off how healthy and rich I am now. It gives off the same vibe as if I'm the successful entrepreneur who escaped a shitty small drug-ridden town, and now years later I'm coming back to donate a fat stack of cash to have a library named after me, while these piggies are still barely making ends meet, like 16 levels lower than me with way less wealth. We get a free dragon because as a cop this far ahead I have jurisdiction over both the bot and mid parts of the map, and no 8-eyed samurai is going to get in the way of us celebrating the free objective. Hula Hoop Helen did try to commit multiple homicides with a piece of terrain as an accomplice, but it fails, and rather than punishing the attempted crime I chose to just pick the low-hanging fruit that was right in front of me instead. At this point, if I would have painted my skin blue, everyone would have been convinced I was a smurf, but somehow this Kiana was on a killing spree, which just goes to show my team was heavier than a used pool diaper, so I had to abruptly put a stop to that. That said, their Yi was fed as well, and apparently he's a master, so I knew I had to be careful around him. I chose to just wait for Sweeney Todd's daughter to arrive, because with a pair of scissors that big in the room no one would be looking at me anymore, which was all I needed to get 2 easy kills out of it. Of course, Magic Mike did try to do some WWE Logan Paul bullshit and charge up a Falcon Punch, but I sidestepped, needing reconstructive surgery on my face, and then I waited till the right time to get full credit for this group project. I rushed an early Guardian angle because the armor would be dank, but also because I was worth more than a modern day Mr. Musk, which is also why I had to pad my escape route with traps before committing to a fight. I could then put the foot on the gas, knowing that once one was down the other two could tickle me, but they would lose the slap battle hard if they chose to participate further. That said, this game was by no means a free win. A team fight broke out that our support couldn't attend because he had to appeal some restraining order that his porn stash landed him back in 23, and let's just say things went south real quick. Soon I was stuck, resurrecting slowly, thinking about what I would be giving up, wondering if my legendary legacy would be forgotten, knowing that with 4 people awaiting my return I had no option, other than to one-tap a stupid bystanding bitch before I went out. Anyways, their set was fettuccine alfredo, all-you-can-eat soup, salad and fucking breadsticks from laning against our dumbass top all game, so I knew I had to ignore the harmless ninja tiptoeing around me because we had a priority target to deal with, and then I went back to clean up the useless support scraps of that kid 4 levels below me right after. There was so many fights breaking out in random parts of the jungle you'd think this was a edgy remaster filming of Tarzan, and I knew I had to be careful in close quarters like this unless I wanted to get aerial banged by a fed set, so instead of rejoining the fight south I took a detour through 3 right clicks to put an end to whatever was coming out of that ash hole, and then I was freely able to rejoin the party. I killed Set faster than he could say here's the haymaker, and then we chased the rest down. I looked at my team's feeding Godzilla and said do something useful, but before we could celebrate him landing his first Q ever, I had to stay on the outskirts, knowing this assassin and her Benjamin Franklin era haircut would want one thing and one thing only, and that would be my perky ass on a platter, so I positioned well enough to watch her die without joining her myself. This quickly turned into the ARAM of the century, and you may be wondering why I'm standing 3 zip codes back, and it's because I knew that Set knew that if I stepped up any further he would pick up one of the fatties on my team and tomahawk slam them down on me, so I waited patiently for my move. But when you are this fed, everyone wants some private time, and at some point you just have to right click and move them all to the recycling bin yourself. We all did get pinned to a tower stub like tails on a donkey, but once the main threats were deceased I was free range fucking chicken to let my hair back, relax, and feel the recoil on these 6-item autos for the rest of the fight. This very one-sided fight was enough for us to march straight into the base and vandalize this shit, and so let me reiterate, that was in a ranked lobby at my own rank, no smurfing, no asking my Discord to feed into me, nothing. As was this second game with a promotion on the line, I went for Quinn to bring me the win. This time I was against Luxana Crownguard, sister of Garen, town whore of Demacia, and too dumb to realize I hit level 2 before her, which on this champ is enough to full combo her, light her on fire, close my eyes and dramatically inhale as Rift Alexa sings the praises of my first blood achievements. That was enough for that blonde to play safer than a seat belt on a sofa, so I had to resort to some business travel in order to get my nut moving forward. Valor Airlines isn't cheap and Riot is way too greedy to reimburse the travel, so it sucks that the only funding I got from making the trip was in the form of a lousy assist from a tie-dyed lizard who was too dead to even spend the paid check, as I was then left running from the muff puncher in her big metal mitts. But 2 sayings resonate in my mind after that: if at first you don't succeed, try again. And if you are 2 levels above the bot lane 9 minutes into a game because Riot designed it to be this way, abuse the fact that you can play like a careless dipshit with no fear, because things will always just work out for you down there. Luckily, while I was away on business, I hired an automated assistant to keep tabs on me, make sure my blonde back at home wasn't up to no good, which was all I needed so that I could come back and take care of her myself again. Turns out this chick has less vision than Ray Charles in a wind tunnel, which means my daily commute to and from bot lane was all of a sudden becoming the highest paid gig I may have had. Anytime I would visit it would be a party and a half, and since the pay was good I kept coming. At one point I had a project that I just couldn't finish myself, and some frisbee whipping bitch was in the way of me getting the job done, so I had to ask my AI assistant to help me out on the road this time. And while I can't say I support her methods here, I was happy nonetheless that she helped me get paid. That said, at this point, if this doesn't show how brainless this strategy is, then I don't know what to tell you. Lock in Quinn mid, sit there and catch waves AFK for like 6 minutes until you are 2 levels higher than bot lane, then permanently call your bird taxi and roam bot on repeat to print uncontested kills with no risk until you get fed. Eventually their team will be flaming their mid laner for not rotating as fast as you, and she will try to make up for the fact that you have 6 unanswered kills by coming down to try and stop you. This will go miserably for her, but here is where I showed extreme restraint. You see, instead of overextending for the kill, I know that me dying here is way worse, so I just cleared my lane and safely backed, knowing that was the smart play. Back at mid I now had Edge of Night, which means the zombie hands that Obama's wife tries to wrap around my ankles will have less of a rooting effect than she would have hoped in her final moments on the Rift. Now with rank 2 alt I can get around the map incredibly fast, and here is a good distinction to highlight. There is advice out there that you don't want to steal all the waves and kills from your team because the gold needs to be distributed, and to that I say fuck off. I'm not trusting a solo queue teammate as far as I can throw them, so I take literally everything for myself, and I'm not going to any confessional getting molested and admitting guilt over earning my LP myself. But being this mobile means I also can be anywhere there's a low life, low level ADC, and I can play games of surprise you a dead bitch with no warning. This quickly turns the game into an absolute nightmare for any bot laner because I'm too fed for them to do anything other than spam/FF at this point and try to do detective work over who is possibly saying no on the votes. Lux has somehow kept up in level, which is miraculous considering she's a board certified moron, but it just goes to show how easy mid lane is. But that doesn't mean there will be an even fight when I show up, even if she paints herself gold and pleads for me not to do her dirty. Anyways, Tryndamere is up there more overextended than a dislocated elbow, knowing he can just moan and go immortal, but I'm still going to be taking this cash for myself. That said, I show that I'm a team player by waiting for him to board the rift clip before launching myself in the wrong direction. Little whoopsie, but hey, at least I can still do the flippies to get myself out of what almost fucked me for trying to be a good teammate. Now when I see anyone on the map, they will be more caught out than a CEO at a Coldplay concert. This means the snowball gets worse, as you can see when I'm flying around. Even I am a bit unsure of my run-in with their jungler until I realize I have 4 levels on that bitch, so I make light work of Punchy Patty, and that must have been the nail in the coffin, as no one was enjoying being in the same game as me anymore, and thus the mid-lane marksman assassin builds had succeeded in scoring me a promotion. Give it a try yourself and brush your teeth tonight. Rav out.